A certain woman was in labor in the hospital in Victoria Island, and she labored to bring forth her first son. And while she was at it, they were going to transfer her to Louth. And a nurse came and said, if you transfer this woman to Louth, you will lose this baby and she might not make it alive. So this nurse helped this woman to bring forth. And this woman, after she was okay from the birth, she wanted to thank the nurse. And she looked for this nurse and couldn't find the nurse. They asked about the nurse. The night nurses had gone home. The morning nurses are here. She waited until the night. She asked for them. They said, oh, these are all the nurses. There's no nurse like that. And my mom did not understand that that was a divine encounter. I was born into a Muslim home on the 1st of July, 1990. My Muslim name was Uthman Amusa Shitu, of the Imam Shitu family in Ogbomoso, Oyo State. I was born in Lagos, Nigeria. My dad is Alhaji Amusa Shitu of the Imam Shitu family. He was born in Jos, but the family comes from Ogbomoso. My mom was born in Elisha. Abdusalam Fatima is her name. I'm the first boy and the second born of 3 siblings. I have an elder sister, her name is Amina, and a younger brother, his name is Suleiman. So we were 5, a small family living in Victoria Island, Lagos State. We attended Crescent Nursery and Primary School right in the estate, and we were being taught the religion of Islam. Our dad worked in the civil service, so we got to stay in that quarters for the years he was working. And so when he retired from service, we had to move from the island to the mainland of Lagos State. Okay, my dad was known by Nigerians as a sportsman. He played sports. He was a sports major in soccer. He was a sportsman. He had his master's in physical education. He traveled the world to become a coach, and he played for Nigeria. He was known as the Bulldozer. He played alongside Teslim Balogun and the likes, and Paul Hamilton, Dana Jibode, Shegun Adenuga, and all those people were my dad's friends. And as a young child, I had a dream of becoming a football star. You know, influenced by my dad, I also wanted to become a football player. You know, football was becoming more lucrative in the 90s and in the 2000s. But when my dad played, it wasn't like Messi and Ronaldo being paid thousands of dollars and pounds. So I wanted to become Nigeria's best player, and I was already born into this family where sports and Islam they just moved together. And we would have the Nigerian players come to visit my dad. I remember one time when Taribo West came and visited my dad, he gave him a pack of boots and a t-shirt. I was so excited meeting a player who will always watch on the television. And my dream, I was seeing that to become reality. My mom worked with Union Bank. I can remember she was a chef. Yes, she was a chef in Union Bank on the island before we moved to the mainland. In 1998, we moved from Victoria Island to the mainland of Lagos, Shomolu to be precise. And that was the first time I saw gutters wide open, and I was like, what kind of dirty place is this? And after a day or two, I wanted to go back to Victoria Island myself, but it was an overrated experience. I had to come to the reality that the family has moved. So we began living in a house that was given to us by a very good friend of my dad, Chief Adewale Teluo. We lived at number 18 Folaguru Street, yes, and we were there for a couple of weeks, and we moved again to another house on Abiodun Street. Yes, 42 Abiodun Street. It was also a house given to my dad to stay in by Chief Adewale Telu. And one thing happened this period. I never knew there was any form of conflict between my dad and my mom, but it was when we moved to this area that I began to see the fights, I began to see the violence, I began to see all these things. And one day we slept and woke up, and our mom was no longer in the house. She had packed her things and she had left, and for me, I was like, what happened? Why did mom leave? And years later, we kept on asking our dad, where is mom? Where is mom? Where is mom? And dad said she has gone. As children, we really don't understand those words until we grow up. Excuse me. So our dad enrolled us in a school, Fadil Omar Islamic Nursery at Bashwa Shobolu. That school was at Bashwa Shobolu of Folaguru. And they got to know that our dad was a sportsman. And so because they believe that since your dad is a sportsman, you are also sports inclined. So they started involving us in sporting activities, and I was quite good in athletics. I was quite good in soccer. So the school employed myself and my sister. We ran for the school. We won medals. And when our dad would travel for his job as a technical director, we would have to move from the house where we were to stay in the Teluo's house, in the Chief Teluo's house. Chief Teluo's house, they're a great host, a wonderful family. And in the house, we were a Muslim minority in the midst of a Christian majority. And so we have been taught to not be ashamed of our religion. So when they are having their morning devotion, we will be having our Fajr prayers in the room, and when we go to school, we say our Zuhr prayer in school. When we come back home to the Telugu house, we are on the balcony to say our Asr prayers, our Maghrib prayers, our Isha prayers. They are all on the balcony whilst the family is inside. So they knew us to be Muslims indeed. And when you are a child, you are easily swayed in your faith. Oh, follow us to church. Yes, we went to church as children. We followed the family to church because they wouldn't leave us in the home. We have to go with them. But when we came back, we always returned back to the mosque. When I was done with primary school in 1999, my dad enrolled me again in another Muslim school. I wanted to go to King's College, and I wanted to go to another school at Ijanikin. Those were the two schools that were on the list. But even with all my choices, my dad said, come on, let's go and join your sister in Mahmoud Ahmadiyya College, Ikorodu, Ijede, yes. So, Abule Eko Ijede. So I was there for another 6 years. But in this school as well, they got to find out that my dad works in the NFA. Yes, so from day one, they started calling me NFA, 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 hey, NFA, hey. So a lot of people meant it for evil, some people meant it for good. And sometimes when my dad would come to school to visit during the inter-house sport, the seniors would be like, oh, let your dad come and scout me so that I will play for Nigeria. And all. It was a wonderful experience in school. I remember another incident. Would I call it incident? No. Another event happened in school. It was the GSS3 exam, the WAEC exam in school. My dad was working in Abuja during the Koja games, and the exams were postponed. And so my dad came to take me to Abuja to join my sister and my brother. And when I came back from Abuja, that was when the new stadium in Abuja was built. It was used for the games. And when I came back, I was able to, share the experience with my colleagues, and they were excited. So excited. So much so that in my final year in secondary school, I was so versatile that I was given two posts as a prefect. I was given the social prefect, I was given the sports prefect. And that time when they were to select the prefects, for the first time in the school, it was an open ballot. The students now had to vote. So the students voted me the social prefect, the students voted me the sports prefect. I was so good in dance, I was so good in music, I was good in sports. So they said, nah, no one else, no one else. We want NFA, we want NFA. And I'm sure those that went to school with me, when they see this video, they will understand. So the schools my siblings and I attended kept us in the faith of Islam, kept us learning about the Quran, the dictates of the Quran, and the Hadith, the life of the Prophet. I was able to do my walima, that is the completion of the reading of the Quran. I was able to do that in secondary school because it's one of the prerequisites for becoming a sheikh or an imam. You have to be able to have completed the reading of the Quran before you go into other materials and literatures in the faith. And we never missed fasting. We never missed our prayers. When in the month of Ramadan, we would always go to the Unilag Sports Center to pray with the Ummah. Everyone gathers in different spots to say the prayers after the Ramadan. And as a Muslim, I had a dream of also becoming an Al-Haji, that is to journey to Mecca for the pilgrimage. That was a dream as well. And it is the highest obligation in the Islamic faith. In the Islamic faith, you have to believe in Allah, believe in the prophets. Those are the articles of faith. And then the 5 pillars of Islam is that you pray, you fast, you give zakat. And then the highest of it is that you go on pilgrimage to Mecca. And so it's in the heart of every Muslim. Every Muslim wants to journey to Mecca and observe the rites and observe the rituals and pray the prayers and climb the Mount of Arafat and all of that. So now, after so many years, before I left secondary school, my mom shows up. For me, I thought my mom was late. Why? Because I saw a picture in the house that had the letters RIP written just at the corner where my mom was squatting. And I kept that picture away from my siblings because I didn't want them to know that mom was late. And I kept that in my heart. So when I was in SS2, my mom shows up in my school with a baby on her back. And I was like, are you a ghost? Are you a ghost? Who are you looking for? Absolutely, it's not me. My sister was so excited. Oh, mommy this, mommy that. I was like, look at you. You are jubilating because of a ghost. And when it dawned on me that she was alive and she was the one there, the school had to intervene because I didn't want to see her. I remember my mind just went back to so many years of, oh, you left us, you didn't say bye-bye, you didn't tell us you were going, you left us alone, you just left us. And she began to pacify me, started telling me what was going on. I saw some pictures because when my dad finished beating her up, she had bruises all over her face. And she would go to the studio to take a picture. She would go to the studio to take a picture for evidence because I think they went to court and they had a divorce or something. And in Islam, for you to remarry someone you have divorced, you have to marry someone else, divorce that person before you can get married to the person you divorced. It's a long story. You know, the thing is, there's a convolution there. So my mom came to school and the school had to intervene. My dad must not know she came, so the school also agreed to keep it on the low. So, so we began our relationship again. We began our relationship again. My formal education always had this challenge of the fact that I never sat through a year of school straight out. I'll always have to be sent home because of school fees, and I'll have some weeks and some months I'll be out of school. But every time I return back to school to write the exams, I always come out either fourth or fifth in class. And I always wondered, how come you were not in school all this while, you just, every time I get back to school, I always have to read up notes. I didn't have to write, because the time I used to write all the notes, I would have used it to read. So I just focused on reading my friends' notes that were in school. And I would still come out top 10 in class. And that happened so many times in secondary school. So for 6 years, I was able to finish my secondary school in 2006, and I was 16 years old at the time. My dad, after secondary school, enrolled myself and my sister to the Federal College of Education Technical, Akoka, in Lagos State. He retired there. He used to be a lecturer, so he knew the registrars, he knew the staff, he knew so many people around. He knew the system, and as a pensioner, and he had some influence. So he enrolled us, and I started school without a matric number. That's how that's how much the influence was. Just, okay, let your son just begin. When you pay the fees, he will get his matric number. So I attended Federal College of Education Technical at Koka for 2 years without a matric number. So my results were mixed up. There was no matric number to record my results. So because of that, I had to have an extra year. Yes, I had to have an extra year. So one thing, my sister always wondered if I was my dad's son, because my dad will always pay my sister's fees. He will pay my brother's fees first, before mine. He will pay my elder sister's fees. He will pay my younger brother's fee before mine. And when it gets to my turn, it will be like, okay, there's no money again. Everybody. So I will have to now wait. I'll be the one. And it got to a point, my sister was like, I don't think you are this man's son. All through my Federal College of Education, I had just one pair of clothes, just a shirt and a jean and a palm slippers. And I want to thank the people that God used at that time in my life. Leke Teluo was one of them. He would always lend me his clothes. Yes, I will not forget. He's a brother. He will always give me his clothes to wear. So all through my Federal College, I will practically say I wore Leke's clothes. Leke's clothes. Yeah, his jeans, his shirts. He would always iron them. He would always wash them. He would always give them to me to put on. I'm so grateful.